Hi everyone, the following video is a recording from our Artist Feedback AMA session that was held within the MetaJungle Discord on June 30th. This is our 15th Artist Feedback AMA that we have featured multiple genres of photography. We want to thank our hosts Mike Schmidt and Dan Hawk for reviewing 12 different NFT collections and editions in this AMA and providing really helpful information on curating and creating your different NFT collections and editions, as well as pricing and other valuable tips. We also want to thank all the artists who submitted their work for review and everyone that was able to attend. We hope you find this useful, and with that, let's go on ahead and get into it.
And so, yeah, we'll get started here. So the first collection is called Dreamlands, and it's by Resolution, and it's been minted for 2 months now, and I haven't seen these, and I really, really, really love them. So they're actually a composite of his astrophotography and his landscape photography. So if I go over and I read this real quick, um, a single dream is more powerful than 1,000 realities. Imagine you could travel in space and time, dream about another planet thousands of light years away from us, or Earth 4 billion years from now. What wonders would it unfold before your eyes? I've always been a dreamer. I have an everlasting itch for things remote and out of reach. One of my biggest dreams is how the night sky would look on faraway planets in other parts of the galaxy, or what we would see in our night sky on Earth billions of years from now. To see how magnificent these faint, majestic clouds of gas and dust, star clusters, and galaxies look. I combined my deep sky astrophotographs and landscape images to visualize this dream. You are owning dreams beyond space and time. Holders will receive original full size PNG image as the unlockable content. And so the floor price is 0.1. Like I said, it's been out for 2 months. There's currently no sales on it, but there's some really, really interesting images in here. I mean, I'll pull up this one, Dream Odyssey. Really, really gorgeous work you're doing here as far as deep space astrophotography, but and landscape, but then also like the skill that it takes to combine the two of these. Have you done something like that before, Dan? It looks really clean.
I have not. This is really cool. It kind of it has sort of a kind of has a Star Trek sort of a vibe to me, like old Star Trek.
Hmm.
Like the original TV.
Yeah, super
Um,
strange.
yeah, it's
Mhm.
like it has a very. I'm looking at the one with the with I think it's Andromeda. It's called Ascending Soul.
Ascending Soul. I like so many of them.
Look at that last one.
I might just like all of them actually. Yeah, this was one of my favorite ones, of
This
course.
has a full-on like
Jeez.
Star Trek vibe to it, and I love it.
And just look at how well done it looks, from the foreground to how he photoshopped and composited this deep space piece into there. It just looks really, really, really well done. I'm really impressed with the way this is done because it together it forms a really, really beautiful image and composition and brings you to this surreal space, like you say, this like Star Trek vibe. It's so cool.
Yeah, yeah. No, I've never done anything like this before. It's interesting because I haven't really done a whole lot of composite work with Milky Way or with night sky. The most of mine is just blending, saying, hey, this is a tracked image, and then this one next to it is like a 3-minute image, so you get the foreground and you get the background. But I've never tried anything like this. But this is really cool, and I like that it's so fantastical that you just go, oh, I mean, it's obviously a composite, but it's an interesting composite as opposed to just I'm trying to fake and make an image look like something
Yeah,
cool. This
and
is this, yeah,
he's mentioning that it's a composite too,
yeah,
which is fine. And so one thing I noticed, there's no properties happening here. So and there's no sales. So Res, you can get on in here and add those important properties, just the ones like artist with your name, edition with one of and licenses. Those three. Then I'm sure you have a lot of cool camera specs and stuff like that, like shutter speeds and stuff. If you want to share that type of stuff, because I know Astro is or focal lengths or whatever there is, whatever you can put in the those properties to make it interesting.
Yeah,
You
I
get
totally agree.
idea,
Totally agree.
right?
The descriptions are all pretty interesting, and so that's my would be my thing. Same thing. You've got a bunch of good stuff in your descriptions. I would add the properties, just so you have that stuff on chain. But man, these are really cool.
Absolutely, love them. Realm of Phoenix. I mean, I feel like it's got to take a lot of time and effort to make these composites.
Well, and not only that, but I don't know, Mike, if you know much about this deep space imagery, but these are you don't just point the camera up and take a picture. These are, in general, you're talking about hours and hours of
Yeah.
pointing at these spots, and it's all tracked. So
Yeah.
when we look at these, we're probably looking at each one of these images is probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 hours or more of imaging just from that galaxy or just this feature in space.
Yeah, I have sat in on Mustafa's workshop before, and I was just like, some of the stuff he was talking about, I was just like, oh, okay, this seems a little bit advanced of a course for me. But yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. But yeah, the only thing I took out of the things that I've taken out of this is that one, I totally love the artwork, and the other is just adding those properties. But you have no Twitter link. Also, you have no Twitter link attached to this. When I go to the main, my OpenSea is running a little slow, and I think it's OpenSea because my internet seems good. This is another really cool one. But yeah, if we go to Dreamlands here, you you don't have your Twitter. I mean, you got your website, your Telegram, and your Instagram. But I definitely know you're on Twitter because you're very supportive on there, and Twitter is that bridge from Web 2 to Web 3. So I think it's important to have that. The properties, and it was minted 2 months ago. So then I wonder, I do know it's been an auctions market. It's a bit harder to sell one of ones. But there is always the option that you haven't sold any of these, and you know you could make an interesting additions out of this. What even if you did five, like even if you did additions of five, and you just wanted to get 0.15, like you can do the math on that, or maybe you get 0.2 instead, or maybe you want to do additions of 10. But I think it would be cool. I think a lot of people would want one of these in their hand. Like I feel like I feel like more than one person would want to own a Ascending Soul here. So you could use additions to your advantage in this. But I do know that people really do love one of ones. But just how are you putting eyes on this right now? Think about that because if it's been 2 months, but the work is so beautiful. Um, Twitter Spaces and talked about the pieces and what it went into them, what it's like to be an astro could help, right? And join some of those astro groups. I think, Dan.
Yeah, this is great. This is great. I agree. I think the same. I actually just went and I wasn't following him on Twitter, but I am now, and just was looking through here, and there's actually some really great promo videos on his Twitter profile. And so, I same thing. I think that there's some things you could be doing to really just crank this up. Like the video is fantastic, and to me, that I think you need to be sharing these pieces individually.
Yeah, well, he has Dreamlands here. He does have it as his pinned post from May. Yeah, definitely gonna give a retweet on this. It's great. Really, really love it. So, all right, cool. I don't think I have anything else on my collection though, other than I really, really like it. And there's some things that he can fix up, and that's it. Great job on banner and main image here and descriptions and just wow, the closeting, right? Really, really good. So move on to the next one. So is Res in here though, actually?
I
Or
don't think so.
Res is not? Okay.
Unless he has a different name over here.
Well, we do have Natty, BTW, Natty BTW, that's how you say it, and we'll be talking about her collection now. So we can unmute. That'd be cool. So fleeting moments, right? This is fleeting moments. This is on Foundation. Uh, it's a collection of 5, and 2 people are already own pieces for 0.65. And just 3 days ago, Trails Decline bought this one for 0.65. And when I first saw these, I was like, oh, these prices seem a bit steep for like this current market condition. But I mean, what do I know? If, if just had a sale 3 days ago for 0.65. Let's read the description. So, an instant capture forever, a collection of moments shot at night during the pandemic days, exhibiting the purity unfiltered people. Life itself is a limitless collection of fleeting moments strung together to play the concerto we call life. The street talks to me and connects with me in a way like no other. Immerse yourself into my cinematic world of the blue, where strong characters tell powerful stories. So it says open collection, so it means that there'll be more added to this. But I'm glad that the artist only stuck with 5 images to start. And just didn't drop 30 images. It's sometimes it's good to give less options and uh, allow people to pick from small images. And so you look through these, Dan. What was your first impression on these instead
Well,
of me going first?
right off the bat, there's a couple things I noticed. First of all, that this main image, the
Little things. This one, the first one.
no,
No, main image.
the
This
banner
one.
image, yeah, the banner
After
image
work.
after work. That's just gorgeous. I really like this one. It has, I know that it's vertical, but it has a very cinematic feel to it. I mean, the one thing that's interesting if you look at this collection is that, and really all of her work is that she is um, leaning into these cinematic colors. So there's a turquoise highlight color that is across the board. And one thing that's a little interesting here is that a lot of these images, you know how when you look at people always use those cinema profiles to kind of make everything look a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
On cinema profiles, a lot of times what you're looking at is that the shadows are made turquoisey blue, and then the highlights are kind of an orange color.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of the opposite of that in a lot of these photos. so the a lot of the lights and the highlights are actually blue with these, and then you've got a lot of skin tones that are kind of these skin tone and these light orange colors used throughout, where you would think there would be more highlights. And it kind of it feels really natural, but it also feels what the right word here is. It's consistent. I like that the whole collection has that.
This is what I like doing the AMAs with you, Dan, because you have a way of like breaking down like uh, color temperatures and where certain colors are supposed to be in according to like um, I guess nothing is written in stone, but you have a really good eye at being able to break down an image by like how it's split between color relationship, which I noticed, with highlights and shadows. But I really do love this image as well. And that one went for 0.65, and it's owned since May. Bid placed on May 11th, so sold on May 12th. So quite a bit a while ago. But then there's another image here that sold 3 days ago. This is Lonely Crowd.
Yeah.
These have interesting descriptions too. But this is a you see the people walking by with the COVID masks. This guy's coming through on his bike. It's slow shutter speed, and interesting description on this one too. It is being loneliest state of mind. January, the year has just started, and people still doing these New Year resolutions. But are people still doing these New Year resolutions? New year, new pandemic regulations, nothing changed. Even people haven't really changed. I'm sitting down in a very busy district. It's called Nabakili. Lots of people out here during this time. I'm sitting at this table, restaurant, wondering if I should order something or continue to look at the void. Someone come sit with me, please. So I'm wondering if this is written. I'm guessing this is written as if it was the person sitting here, because I don't necessarily think that that is actually that it's a self portrait, but maybe it is. I don't. It's
You know,
very beautiful.
well, here's what's really interesting about this one, Mike. These, if I look at these like hugs and beers, after work, just me and you, these all look like street found captured scenes. But Lonely Crowd, something about it, and I'd be curious to know: is this a found piece, or is this composed? Is this created on purpose? Because it almost feels like, when I look at it, I just feel like it feels like a conceptual art piece.
It does. Yeah, it'd be interesting too, though, if it's just actually a street scene. That's just there's somebody just sitting there, and there's nothing at the table, and they just have this like I don't know if they have white or orange hair, or if that's just the toning of the image, but it's a really interesting shot, and that's 3 days ago. Someone picked that up, which is really cool. Trails to climb. It's nice to get a sale for 0.65 in this climate.
Yeah. Well, so one more thing, Mike. If you wanna, would you mind looking at her overall, all of her images, not just this collection?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, just go
So,
on her name.
oh, right here.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
like everything that's in foundation too,
yeah, because
or
she actually has
oh wow,
4 other
I
images,
love this.
and these are,
This is
yeah, 3 of these are sold. Um,
which keeps that color theme.
right.
That's gorgeous. Wow, I love
Well,
that.
and look at the one, called "Does It Burn?" Look at how that color, it's all orange where the candlelight is glowing, and then the top of her forehead's all is turquoise.
Yeah, yeah, that's the one I just had open that I was just talking about. It
Yeah, I
doesn't.
mean that's just cool. But I like how, when I look at all of these, the tonality is still the same. This color palette is consistent, even when we've stepped out of the collection.
Yeah, absolutely. I also love how like these branches are coming out. I didn't love how it's symmetrical with whatever's on the wall here from this side to this side. There's this like, little teardrop thing here that kind of uh, represents the same shape of the candles flame flicker. Beautiful shot. Her hand placement lit up there. Yeah, just the most important, interesting part. I feel like this is this small oval area of your face that we get to see. That's just half orange and then half blue. Really
Okay,
well
you want to have your mind blown? Go look at her Instagram account.
done. Okay, yeah, of course. And then guess, yep, it's linked on here as well. I'm pretty sure I follow, but maybe I won't. Yeah, and everything's got this
Yeah, this is a thing she's doing, right? This is a thing that this
pretty.
is a definite aesthetic, and it's consistent, and this is you don't get to be this good at this without spending a lot of time focused on color, shadows, the way light plays. There's one, oh man.
And
So
it's
these,
not like they're not like cyberpunk, but there's something else, like it it doesn't have that typical cyberpunk colors, but it does have this sort of matrixy, um, futuristic feel to the imagery.
yeah.
Really cool.
So
Really, really
I
cool.
guess my feedback here is, I really like the collection. I think that if there weren't any sales, I would say, oh yeah, this might be priced a little high, but it seems to be working. There are
Right?
sales happening, which is great. I think I like that there's such a consistent look and feel, and I would say just keep doing what you're doing. Uh, I yeah, I like the fleeting moments concept. I think you've got plenty more work in your Instagram account to put into there. And
Hmm.
once it sells out, add some more. Um, there are some pieces I like even more in the Instagram account than what's already on Foundation.
Yeah, I mean, I could probably dig into the Instagram account and put together something really strong. This shot's really strong to me too. This rain on me. I think the artist does a really good job with people. Like I think clearly, she has a strong connection with people. Even this candid is really great, right? But there's something about when she's working with people, eye contact, that's like really, really compelling for me too.
Right.
But yeah, beautiful, beautiful collections. And
And then she's here with us as well. I saw you comment, Natty. What if you have anything you'd like to add, or you have any other questions? Feel free to jump up on the stage with us.
oh, I got my chat box over here. Let's see. We
Or
appreciate you. I'll give a blue diamond. And a yellow heart. Yep, there we go. That makes sense. Thank you for being here, in the space with us, sharing your heart. It's amazing. Thank you so much. Mm, cool. So, and she has a description and everything. So, yeah, I don't know what to say except keep doing what you're doing. It's hard to sell 0.65 ETH on the foundation.
Oh, I have something I want to add. So
Yeah,
this is it's not about this collection specifically, but it's about Foundation. So something that happened is last week Foundation turned on Manifold. So anything you've minted on Manifold now shows up in Foundation.
really.
A 720, I should say ERC 721. So if you did 101s in
Let's
Manifold, then they now show up in Foundation.
let's check out my profile.
Yeah. And 1155s won't. So you're not going to see any addition.
I'm not going to see any of my
Yeah.
1155s. I'm not going to see my
Even if
this.
they're even if they're 721 editions, they don't show up. Only one of ones show up. But here's what's
Let's see.
kind of
Let's see what
yeah,
I've owned. What I owned though. That's
yeah.
under that
But here's what's
stuff
cool
I
about
own. Yeah,
Foundation doesn't have the ability to add properties, but they do bring them in as properties from Manifold, which is really cool.
very
So
cool.
if you were thinking about that is a new way to now mint collections into Foundation, is just mint a collection on mint a new contract on Manifold, and it'll show up in Foundation.
That's awesome. It's something interesting that I learned yesterday when Hype CG Torres came in with his high res collection. I grabbed one of those. These are really amazing. Is that Alpha asked him if he could add his name to because he didn't have his artist name within the pieces. And he said, yeah, he could add that since it's his own custom contract. He could add it later on. And then so he added it to everything like 7 hours later. So if I have my own, so I could change the descriptions on my Lost in Transit series because they were created through Manifold if I needed to in the future. That's
Yep.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wow. I guess I guess that's a good and a bad thing because what if the artist changed it in a way that's not good? Like
Well, so I'll throw something out there. I think I've heard that critique that people say, "Oh no, I don't like that you can change it." And one of the things that's been interesting is whenever you hear people talking about NFT world, kind of our community and where people live and do this stuff, we're pretty good about policing ourselves. So I think that we don't see an awful lot of respected artists minting the same work multiple times. We don't see people kind of disrespecting the rules because we know the blockchain doesn't lie. And so I think in the same way, what are you going to do? Go and swap out and change the image to something the person didn't buy? I mean, unless they agree to that as some kind of a cool mechanism, then that wouldn't be a thing that anybody would expect. And I think you would lose your respect pretty quickly in the space if you started doing those sorts of things. So I say it only as a positive. I don't. It's not like you're going to go ruin the token later. Like that's not what we're talking about. If you took the trouble to create it and sell it and build a relationship with a collector, what benefit is there for you to ruin it? It doesn't make you more money. It's not like there's some scam that is.
Yeah, I agree. I guess it's just the fact that it doesn't have an impermanence to it, and that someone could do that. Like a scammer could create a fake collection of like amazing work of someone else's work, and then people can buy it, and then they can just I guess I don't know. There's something about it, the permanence of things that is nice too.
I think if you're going to go to the trouble to copy somebody else's work, you're not going to bother to go delete it. Who cares? Like they don't care.
So, yeah.
The bigger risk there is you're buying fake work, not that somebody's going to erase it later.
Yeah, someone copied my entire series, and I had to have a bunch of people help me port them on OpenSea, and they copied everything like word for word, all that. We got them deleted pretty quickly. It's ridiculous. So moving on to the next, well, not collection, but edition. So I threw some editions in here too. And this is a Dance with the Fireflies, and this is by Dice Sales. He's also in the discussion right now too. And so well, first of all, it's a really gorgeous image, and it's definitely different, right? Because it's obviously taken long exposure. These fireflies are moving by, the colors, the layers. You got a subject out here in the middle. The sky looks beautiful, and like just to tell me that all these yellow pieces are all fireflies. It's really beautiful and surreal. Now, obviously, big thing I noticed here. Uh, minted 2 months ago. There's two owners, but one's a transfer, so there's only actually one sale, and there's 40 editions. So in 2 months, only one sale on 40 editions. So I took a look at this artist's Twitter. I noticed that. Well, let's just do that. Took a look at the artist's Twitter because it's on here. Now I will say a lot of people don't have their Twitter on here. Dice does, and I noticed it doesn't have a huge following, so 637, so it's a relatively small following for the Web3 space in Twitter. And then also, the pinned tweet isn't actually the pinned tweet. It's a new pinned tweet though, from June 28th, but it's not of the edition, which is, and we're sort of in an edition market right now. So I love that you're introducing yourself here and stuff, but it's going to be hard to move this edition with a low reach, and not using it as your pinned tweet, or creating some type of promotional video for it, or bringing some attention to that. And so for me, it was just too many additions for your actual reach. Make the pinned tweet, and just minted quite a while ago. So if you take 0.04 times by 40, you're valuing it at 0.6 ETH. It's fine. But so what after hearing that, what are your thoughts, Dan? Is it similar?
First of all, this is a beautiful image. Very, very cool. It seems like a pretty amazing moment, and I really like it. I agree that there's a lot of it's going to be trouble. It's going to be hard to sell a piece like this when you're not really promoting it. and with a smaller reach. There's one thing I just did notice as well. I was looking through his Twitter account as well. Looks like he just had a piece. He got added to the Landscapers Collective.
Mm-hmm. Wow, nice.
Yeah, so they added 6 people, and he's in really good company there. Alistair Ben was one of the other people selected there. So I think there's a chance he might get a lot more eyes on his work here pretty quickly, and so that's a big plus. I think that'll hopefully happen in the next couple weeks. But I kind of tend to agree, and just being honest, there's a reason I haven't released any new work in a while. It's just because the market is so weird. And when I take a look around here a little bit, I see the additions, and I'd actually, Mike, would you mind looking at his main OpenSea account?
Yeah, he's a really, really good artist.
Yeah, yeah, he has some really beautiful work in here.
So his account here, let's see. I'll just go to this image, click on him as the artist, I suppose. And I should be able to do this. So created is so he has, let's see, disconnect. Right? So I haven't looked into this.
He has some really interesting and really beautiful work here, and so I think that this is all great. I would probably not focus on this stuff right now on your Twitter account. So the pinned tweet, I would probably shift and have your pinned tweet be your addition and see if you can drum up, get some collectors in the door. That will be what I'd probably do. This is beautiful work. I'm also seeing some really great shots in the promo image on the pinned tweet that I don't see in any of these collections.
Yeah, same. Some really, really, really great looking ones on here.
So here's kind of my feedback would be is I think first of all I think you're a great photographer. You have some really beautiful work here, and what I would probably do is I would use that addition in concert with this recently being selected as part of that collective. I would use your this addition to see if you can push that a little bit. And I had mentioned it last week, but I think that if you keep talking about it, you keep mentioning it, there's a chance you might pick up some sales there and get some collectors in the door. And then once you have that just broadens out and gets you more ready for when the market shifts a little bit, when people start being more about one of ones, or when the collective drops and you're part of it. But
yeah, absolutely.
Additions as a way to get people in the door, I think, is a really solid strategy.
I mean, there's also a strategy too, like, before releasing this edition to the public is like, reaching out to just a lot of friends in the space and seeing if they're interested to, take an allow list position so that when you do drop to the, you could just drop with sale. You could, maybe drop with 10 or 15 sales, which kind of creates some anticipation and FOMO for wanting, to grab more pieces. So maybe in this case, maybe 20 editions would have been better and just a little more preparation. But I do think that you'll be able to sell a beautiful image like this all the time. It's just going to take some work, right?
Right.
So if it's not in your pinned tweet, then it's hard for anyone to know that it really exists.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that's a hard thing to kind of wrestle through and learn is that the space is so temporal. Things are coming and going so quickly, and tweets have a very short half-life. So one of the things that's nice about the pinned tweet, the idea of the pinned tweet, or retweeting your own stuff, a few hours later, is that sometimes that just gets a second set of eyes on it. It refreshes it, and you never know when your next share might be the first time somebody sees something. You can't rely on, well, I talked about that, yesterday. Well, it's a different audience today. Different people are here today than were yesterday. So you have to kind of strike a balance between talking about your work incessantly and then just sharing it consistently enough people still see it.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people are just not sharing their work as much right now. But I think, some people think that they shouldn't share their work too much. And, while I agree with that, showcasing other artists is a good thing. I think there's a way to, pick your piece right and give this story with it and post. Like, it's one of my favorite photos of all time. This was taken after a thunderstorm at a local winery in Galena, Illinois. As we were driving back to our accommodation, I noticed tiny glows and sparkles on the side of the road. We stopped and witnessed thousands of fireflies dancing. It's absolute magic. It's like a post like that, like just talking about this and just this part here, and just letting people know that it's
Yep.
hit for 0.04, and that's your story, and then just asking, please share and please quote tweet retweet if you enjoy the image or if it resonated with you, and have friends do that. Be surprised that if one person's retweet could get you a couple of sales. I've retweeted some people and we got some multiple sales. So at the end of this, I'm going to try to retweet everyone who's in that AMA. Try to help out.
Yeah.
Cool. That's all I have on this one. Very beautiful image.
I agree.
Cool. And the next collection is actually called a Year for the Books, Berlin, 2022, and this is I'm sorry, 2020, and this is by Ambient Berlin. First thing I noticed about this was like the cohesive tonality of these images. There's a lot of really beautiful images in here. The second thing I noticed was the floor price of 0.049 because these are one of ones, and so there was a little bit of confusion for me because I was just wondering, are people just selling his work for a lot lower because of the sentiment right now? But then when I went and I looked into some of these images, um, I noticed that the artists sold some of these for like 0.035 21 days ago. Original listing was 0.24 months ago, dropped down to 0.15, dropped down to 0.1, and dropped down to 0.06, and then dropped down to 0.035. So, as a collector coming into this, seeing someone just continue to drop and drop and drop and drop their price to kind of meet price demand that's more for like an addition of 20 when you're selling your one of ones. I think that you had to go through all that to sell them. I mean, you probably could have just pulled back some images instead of dropping 24 at once, and just got the smaller amount sold out and then moved on to the next. But
Yeah.
yeah, you feel the same way there? How do you?
I do. I do. There's one thing I was kind of looking at here. And I don't know if this is, you know, how this fits in, but I'm noticing there's one image that's called "Be Free," and it has the woman with a cardboard sign on her body that says "Get your laws off my body."
Yeah, I like that one. It's right.
So, so look at this one. Alpha bought this one for 0.2 4 months ago.
Yeah, that's a lot, and so to bring the price down like that, so you have to think about your
Yeah.
collectors, right? That actually,
It feels weird to me, and if I don't know what way to sort these would make the most sense, so that you could see,
well,
price
oh,
history.
I'll show
But
you something. I'll show you something.
go ahead.
Well, if we go to activity, right, we do have this address, 6B4, whatever, that's collected like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9 of the pieces, and some of them were collected at 0.15. The same person had collected some of them 0.024, so $25 versus 155. So,
Yeah.
you know, Actually, be honest here, when you put if you put your work on the line for critique and for AMAs, we should be completely honest as possible. I look at all these things, and so me looking at all these things just kind of confuses me as to what's going on here as a collector. And so I would myself, like me, I probably wouldn't buy from the collection unless, I just really liked an image that was just really cheap like this, like 0.025. But I just don't know how that's fair to someone who paid 0.2, which is like 10x.
Well, okay. So here's what I looked at. If you look at and you sort them by listings, you can see, and hopefully this doesn't feel like too exposed, but I think we get rid of sales and just go listings.
Yeah, I got it.
And one of the things you can see here is that all of the most recent listings are all less than 0.1, right? And then if you go back, if you go down to like 25 days ago, a month ago, they all shift up to 0.2, 0.3, 0.1. So there's a spot where the artist decided to lower prices down into that 0.0 range. I for one of ones, I understand. I think my gut is I understand. You want to sell this work, but you're selling this work at the price people are selling editions for. And I think your work is just worth more than that. I wouldn't be, and I know you've already sold a bunch at these low prices. So maybe what I'm saying doesn't carry as much weight. Maybe you feel great about it. I would almost rather see you have a series, have an edition to sell at that price, and maybe take a break on these and pause. But
yeah, I mean, look, people are reselling the work now, like edition type prices. This is being resold for 0.049. This is being resold for 0.05. And that's why we can go in. So this is a sold out collection at this point, because there's someone here that we can see that we can't even buy, and there's no last transaction either. But it's owned by a wallet address, so maybe it was gifted. I don't know. But what I can buy is stuff that people are putting on. So you've you know you've kind of crushed your own floor price by lowering your prices to the point where now people are um, you know trying to exit in a market where they need capital, and they're trying to exit at the prices in which this person last bought it for 0.035. So they're just trying to get a little bit of extra money because they probably need liquidity now. But you've successfully hurt your floor price by doing that. And I don't mean for this to be a harsh critique, but it does need to be an example for what can happen if you do that, so that others can see. But outside of that, I love the work. Right? Like there's some really beautiful work in here, and they shouldn't, they don't deserve to be sold as a 1 of 20 pricing. They deserve to be sold at 1 of pricing.
Yeah. Okay, so I have a question for you, Mike. Maybe we'll see what this is. Go back to the main grid and look at. There's one that's called Treasure Hunt.
Sure.
It's right in the top corner there.
It's the first one for sale.
I don't understand. If I go look at the history,
it's a long history. It's a long history. I mean, okay. So minted 4 months ago and put up for 0.2, which is what, close to 10x and 10x. Then listed at in the same month for 0.15. It seems like a lot of impatience going on here, right? The same day, actually. I'm sorry. February 19th, 0.2. February 19th, 0.15. Expired. Transferred to Drakey Vault. So that was given to Drakey for free.
That's what I can't tell here.
And then it's listed by Drakey for 0. It was given for free. Then listed by Drakey at 0.09. 2 months ago, did not sell. He listed it yesterday for 0.049. So, maybe sometimes giving pieces away to people that are going to exit at your lowest floor is not always the best
Well, and
the best move.
so here's what I'll say here. Like, there's one thing I don't know. Mike, I know you get creative with batch bundling stuff and, selling people stuff as bundles. What I can't tell from this is maybe he just decided to sell it out off marketplace, right? We don't know that. We don't know if maybe Drakey Vault, make Drakey Tech 11 Vault paid our artist here off marketplace and they just transferred it. That might be a thing.
Sure.
But what I'm seeing is a consistent pattern of dropping prices and floor getting lowered. And if you were my friend and I was in a group with you and you're like, hey, I think I'm going to drop my prices from 0.2 and 0.15 down to like 0.04 for one of ones, I would say don't do that.
Yeah.
My gut would be this work is one of one work. It's not additions. If you want to sell stuff for 0.04 or 0.05, you probably should think about maybe releasing maybe a series of editions, but I wouldn't do this to your one of ones. And I think that as much as exciting as it is that you are that these have sold at these lower prices, I think it's your floor prices get messed with by
Yeah.
whatever's going on here. So that's kind of my feedback. I don't mean to be too critical.
It's good feedback. It's good feedback.
Yeah, it's just how I feel about it. And if my one of ones were starting to have some floor price weirdness like this, I would wonder what was going on. And I've seen people buy back pieces off the floor when the prices get low like this.
Yeah, I mean, I'd personally rather just, remove the images and then just create them as an addition, that an addition for 0.049 and an addition of 10, and then at least get what you deserve for a one of one. And you say like, maybe he sold this to Drakey Vault, outside of this, but it's kind of irrelevant though because I don't have that information as a collector. So like
Right.
I'm looking at this as from like a collector's standpoint, and so I see all this stuff, and so yeah, it's just I think this is a learning lesson until just because this is a beautiful collection. Tonality is so good. It's taken during COVID time. Um, but just wow, like this one. This one's gorgeous. Look at this window shopping, and and Ovek owns this too. He's a big artist in the space. I mean, very big verified artist in the space. But yeah, I mean, he picked it up for what 0.035. He got himself a nice one. So it's
Yeah.
yeah, you got a steal of a deal. So it's good on his part. So I think you undersold yourself a little bit on this. I think there was a little bit of impatience involved. I think you should have probably reached out to the original collectors if you did not purchase these at 0.2 and talked to them about it. They might have had a different advice for you. A lot of the collectors in this space were also mentors of mine, so sometimes I just asked them for their advice. But yeah, outside of that, a really beautiful collection, and I don't have anything else in this one. You'll see you there.
I don't think so. I'm one of the things I was looking at is that it seems like when I go through and look at these, I'm also noticing there's a lot of the pieces that don't have price history on them. They were airdropped to people.
Exactly. Those are the ones that
And if as a collector, I would look at this and go, what? This doesn't look like it's actually sold out. It looks like you airdropped and got rid of the last few pieces.
exactly. But the work's good enough to be a sold out collection if they just took the tactics and did it right. And I think that's the main point here. Is
Yeah.
that like this could have been sold out if you ran them in as additions, afterwards, or it could have been sold out if maybe you marketed it differently or, not lowered the price down to that extent that you did. And um, whatever. Either way, I guess this person. It looks like at this point that this collection seems like the artist kind of left. Is done with the project, done with this project, and maybe has moved on to something else. I don't know.
Well, click on his Twitter account.
Sure. So it's Max. I like Max too a lot. He's very supportive. He's always been. Yesterday we released my first collab. Interesting collab with Exchange Art.
Yeah, so he's moved on to other stuff, and that's okay. That's not a problem. Um,
Yeah,
and
of course.
I think it's good to remind you, take our advice for what it is. I mean, it's there's everybody has their own strategies. So we're just giving you the feedback of what we see.
Exactly. Cool. I think we can move on to my macrogenesis.
Yeah.
Macromentalist, cool name. So both cool names. So cool. So initially, first thing I noticed, and this is really great banner. Really, really cool macro stuff. Pretty amazing.
Yep.
It's minted 3 months ago. There have not been any sales. And I think we're going to see that trend a lot with the fact that just how the market was for 3 months and one of ones just kind of not being paid attention to too much. Additions having the spotlight there. So no Twitter link here, just Instagram, which I don't think we need to go and look into because I think this work is strong in itself, and I don't think it has anything to do with work right? So
Right.
description. Let's take a look at the description. Um, Macrogenesis is a collection of unique macro frames in nature. Each photo is captured and processed using a phone, and that makes each piece rare. So I'm not sure that the tool that you use to capture the photograph actually makes each piece rare. I don't actually understand that part. Maybe less people use iPhones to shoot macro photos. Every collector gets the full size image as unlockable content and offer price in next purchase. Okay, so I guess he means the mint price of the next purchase. I think he could have did a little bit more with your artist statement here. Maybe talked about what it's like to take macro photographs with an iPhone. Like maybe what how you get close to them with a phone like that without them running off, why you love taking these macro shots, etc. A little bit of story here, I think, in the artist statement could possibly bring in more attention. What do you think, Dan?
Right. No, I totally agree. Yeah, I agree. Taking it with a phone doesn't make it unique. But what I do like is, and I would maybe add this to the collection just to say, hey, you don't have to have a big fancy camera with, super expensive
Art.
to
Yeah, to make
take.
good art. Yeah.
Yeah. Because in the descriptions it does say that the artist did put on a mobile lens, a special lens onto the phone.
Cool. And so they have properties, right? So they got the artist name, they got the edition, the dimensions, and license, no license, but for the most part, they've got most of the good properties listed. Let's see, the black soldier fly. I'm not going to try to announce that guy's name. Is a sleek-looking fly that may confuse with a wasp. However, like most flies, the black soldier flies only have 2 wings. Wasps have 4, and does not possess a stinger. Although the loud buzzing they create when flying is enough to concern many people, adult soldier flies pose no danger. But maybe I wonder if that loudness that they put out is actually their defense mechanism for not having a stick. That's cool. So got the artist name, edition, the year. So they're using a Nokia 6. I mean, I don't even know the quality of Nokia phones at this point, but
Obviously,
looks
pretty
pretty
good.
looks pretty damn good, right? They
Yeah.
got so you got your extended editorial license here. So yeah, none of these are sold. Why not put your licenses in the these as the metadata for the blockchain for this artwork now?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, these are great. These are great. And
yeah,
I think the same, kind of my gut when I kind of think about this is that there's probably, it's probably just a promotion thing, because these are good. I would think that hunting out the, seeing if you can find communities that do not Twitter world is probably going to be a
Yeah.
way of connecting. I did find their Twitter account. It's see, this is Krishna Prasad, K. It's the same. If you go to their Instagram account, it's the same handle as their Instagram account.
Who's this?
So this person, if you go, his name is his Twitter.
Oh, we can go to his Twitter. Okay, so let's do that then.
It's K.A. Krishna Prasad. And it's a turquoise.
Is it Krishna like Krishna?
Yeah, and then Prasad right behind it. That's the username. Prasad. There it is.
Okay. Oh, I found it. Why do I have to type in all those letters for it to just come up? Okay, a photographer who loved to explore the macro world of the phone. So he's advertising his collection up here. Macrogenesis. It's got a lot. Look at this. 110 retweets. April, May, June, July. Yeah, I mean May, June, April, May, June. It's during that time where it was really hard to sell that's the thing.
Yep.
It was really hard to sell the one of ones at that time. Could have been a good opportunity to make it an editions collection, right? Editions of 5, editions of 10 or something. Make the same capital, but make more orders. Like I said, maybe a lot of people don't want to do that. I think it's better than personally sitting on a collection that sits for months. If you could adapt to the market, what the market is doing.
But I think these are good, and I would keep them as is. I think it's a great collection. Nothing wrong with it. It's a good size. They're priced well.
Exactly.
Go through, clean up all your descriptions. And what I would probably think about doing if you want to get some traction is find other macro photographers and connect with them on Twitter. Link up your Twitter to this account and share, maybe think about doing an edition. Pick one of your best pieces and think about doing, maybe like, maybe 10 editions, or maybe even up to 20, but probably like 10, and price it in the 0.05 and lower, and see if you can make some things happen there, and that way you might gain some of your first few collectors.
Exactly, it's a good idea.
Cool. Something like that, to get some traction while one of one season is still slow. I say all of this, and I think it's good and important to mention that I haven't sold a one of one outside of friendly things with people who helped, people who bought mine kind of on the side, but I haven't sold a straight up one of one in like 3 months. So actually maybe like 2 months.
I mean, a lot of people haven't. It's kind of a normal slowdown right now. Give me a minute. I gotta grab someone's.
Sure. Yeah, so that's kind of some of my feedback on this one, and I think it's like that for everybody. I think that's kind of where we're at. So we just need to pause and step back and think about, does your strategy work for what's going on in the market right now? If that makes sense. Looks like Mike's getting ready to move on to the next one. And so I'll go ahead and start talking about that one while he's doing whatever he's doing there. The Northern Himalayas. This is an interesting collection, and Mike's not there to scroll through, but I'm looking at these, and I think this is as a landscape photographer, as somebody who does this a lot, we've got some really beautiful work here, stuff that I really like. It makes me wish I could go there. There's some really beautiful light being captured here, which is really cool. And I'm just going to go ahead and read through the description. Mike can catch up when he comes back. The Northern Himalayas is a collection of 50 one-of-one photos captured from my camera of the Northern Himalayas, which plays a significant role in influencing the climate of India. In fact, this entire belt is called the body and soul of India. This collection covers snow mountains, rivers, and sand dunes and forest. It's been a delightful experience to capture sunrise and sunsets getting through mountains and clouds. This entire collection of images is spread across covering territories Jammu and Kashmir Ladakh, Arunachal Pradesh, Sikkim. These photographs were taken just after COVID and lockdown, and it's been a fantastic journey to capture the beauty of nature. If you want to know more about my collection and roadmap, please visit my website.
Thanks, Dan. I come back now. Thanks for reading the artist statement on that.
And I'm going to mute myself for a second now.
Oh, okay, no problem. So yeah, when I look through this, like, I noticed there's a lot of beautiful, beautiful landscapes in here, right? But there's, let's see, so minted. It was minted 5 months ago. So I'm just looking at my notes here.
Yeah.
And so I'd considered instead of just dropping all 50 at once, maybe dropping 10 in five, capsules, as Yulia would call it, of until you meet 50, right? So you drop 10, allow those to sell out. Maybe the first ones you drop are some of the strongest ones you've got, let that first sell out happen. Then you can even, you don't even have to do 10. You could add 5, you could add 4, you could do whatever way you like. But right now, it's a hard one to drop 50. Right? It's like maybe last June when the market was just insane, and collections of 50 were just like selling out in weeks. That would work, but right now it's very hard, and you're giving people a lot of options here, right? So if you give them 10, 10 great ones, let them pick from less, right? Because there's not many bad images here. I don't think there's any bad images here. Most of these are really, really good. You're obviously a great landscape photographer. You're just giving I think you're just giving the viewer just too many options, and you're making it much harder for you to actually sell this out, and you're making it harder for the people who are attracted to specific types of ones to even find the ones that they're attracted to. What are your thoughts?
I think the same. I think it's just an awful lot of work, an awful lot of photos. And for me, when I look at these, I think, well, I mean, there's some real beauty. There's some real beauty in these, but there's just too many to work through here. And I think in some ways, while I wouldn't say that they're too similar, I do agree that maybe starting with a smaller batch might have been a better way to go on this, because when you look at the timing, like we said, it's just an awful lot of photos, and they've been out for a while now, and I look at, there's one sale that was made 6 days ago for 0.2, so congratulations, that's fantastic. Before that, there was one 2 months ago, and there was one 5 months ago. Mm-hmm. So that's okay. That is okay, but we're talking about 0.5 volume in 6 months, right? Or in 5 months. Mm-hmm. A collection this big, that's it's maybe reflective of the market we're in. Who knows? But I think that there's also something to be said for there's being lots and lots of pieces here.
Yeah, I mean, you can talk about the market, but the collection's been out for 5 months or so. During that time too, maybe a tighter edit with images that were like different enough from each other to feel unique to each collector that got one. Right? 10 images, but they would feel like unique because they were very different in how they were.
Okay, so that being said, if you go look at his Twitter account.
Yeah, let's look at it.
I think I don't see him talking about this work at all. It's not in the pinned tweet. There's lots of other stuff that's kind of unrelated.
Okay, cool. He had his work in Times Square. That's gee. what is this here? In addition to having been featured at Sun Square, I'm excited to announce that Patterns Universe, which was part of NFT NYC, is available for purchase as an edition. These editions of 20 at 0.05. Okay. So how did that do?
Yeah,
Can't do all this.
it's a little tricky to know what I'm even looking at here. Like, is that an audition? What is it? Is it?
You know, where are the additions for me? Link below. So I clicked on this link, but now I have to go through like a whole sign up process. That's probably a lot for a lot of collectors, especially people that have that don't want to click on a lot of links and stuff because they're worried about security.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go back and see what else.
I know. So what happens when you click on that link is it takes you to NFT NYC art collection. What
Mhm.
you should link to your individual piece.
Exactly. So let's see what it looks like when we go to there. Let's see. Okay. Okay, the OpenSea brings us right to this collection. What about if we click on the name and other stuff? Um, he's got his editions. This is what we needed, actually. This is the link we needed, right? This is a different edition, though. So there's only 2 owners here on this one, and it's an edition of 10. Okay. So it's a beautiful photograph, the painted city. Right, because obviously it's great landscape photography. It's gorgeous. The blues, yeah, orange, whatever. Some great descriptions. Let's see, the owners, Shutterholic, here, the activity. We're actually sales. That's good. But like, where is this piece on his Twitter? Right?
Right. Well, and I think so. I'll back up a little bit here, and I'm just going to say kind of what I'm noticing. And this is something we've seen. This, we've been seeing this since we first started doing these AMA feedback sessions. Is that what we find sometimes is, artists. I think people make one of a few different kinds of mistakes. The first one is they just put out way too much work. And when you put out a ton of work, what it does is it eliminates any sense for the collector that's looking at your work. It eliminates focus. It takes away, kind of the one spot for them. You want to land them on the thing you want them to land on. You don't want to go, here's a whole bunch of stuff you pick. Like that's not a good marketing or a good sales strategy. So usually there's a couple different ways to think about sales strategy. Either you show them the one thing you want them to buy and you tell a really compelling story so that they go, oh, okay, yes, this is the thing. Or you show them 3 things, and I'm just picking a random number here, but 3 things in a marketing context, and you say, this one is this thing and it's this expensive. This one is in the middle and it's a little more than the one in the middle, but it's or than the one at the bottom, but not too much more. And then you have one more that's high price, that's high end, the luxury thing. And most people will land on the middle one. In this case, what you're doing is you're making it really hard for people to find your work, and you're giving them way too many choices. And you have great, really beautiful photography here. So I think you just need to trim down. Like, I don't think you should delete this collection. I think this work is beautiful. I think you need to maybe not focus on it. Maybe really focus in on these additions because they're really the one is beautiful that we looked at, the painted city. Really focus on that. Get people to lock in on that. If they want to find your one-of-one work, they'll find it. That's not a problem. The addition is kind of the loss leader. It's the entry point for people who just need a place to kind of go, oh yeah, this is a cool way for me to own this guy's work if I want to.
Yeah, and I mean, so 3 of these are sold from this collection of 50. So like, I mean, I'm just saying what I would personally do is like, I would remove all of them except 7 more, so that you have 3 sold and 7 unsold, and you have 10 images. That would take a lot of the saturation and work that we put out on the market off of the market a bit, and then you could focus a little bit. Say, hey, there's 7 pieces, but 10 are still available. These are some of the ones that sold or whatever. They're beautiful, right? And focus on 7 beautiful ones that are different from each other. And focus on before you even focus on that, like I think Dan said, like focus on selling out that just edition piece, because like it's only an edition of like 10, and you already have 2 sold, so there's only 8 left. So it, probably a few retweets from some people in this Discord right now might help that sell. But yeah, I would definitely bring my focus on not saturating your own market at this time, and not putting so much on your own plate, because it's going to become overwhelming, and so many things are going to sit.
Yeah, I think maybe a good place to start, change your pin tweet. Like you are promoting something that is not. I mean, well, first of all, you posted on June 23rd. It's about NYC, NFT NYC. That's over. The gallery you're promoting, I don't know that that's even like to me. It is distracting people away from your work. That link doesn't take them to your work. So I would pull back from that, focus back in on your own work. And I would probably focus on the additions. I guess this is what I don't want you to do. I don't think right now is a good time for you to obsess about one-of-ones and worry about too much about, oh, I got to fix my one-of-one collection so it sells. Like, you might want to clean it up, but I don't think it's wise to expect that by cleaning that up, you're going to all of a sudden drive a bunch of sales. Like, I just don't think we're in the market right now.
The only thing outside of that I would say is, like, you haven't sold these, so like you can add. I would add the imported properties, which I think you're missing, which is like this name, the edition size, license. You have camera and edited in Photoshop and exposure. Season is the summer. Your ISO and your focal length, which are actually the least important properties of the ones that I just mentioned. So. Add those properties. I wouldn't add them on 50 images if you're going to take some out, though. I would start with just 10. And when those 10 that's just a strategy that I do that works for me, because I like to keep a selection. Yeah, that's it. So if we're going to be moving on to nature's abstract art, and this is by Anil T. Prabhakar. I think that's the best way I could say it. And so these are it's pretty beautiful, and I love looking at it. Sloika, as always, let's see, art and curiosity can be explored through abstract thought. Abstraction is a great approach to get people involved in the picture. Perhaps it can compete with other types of visual art from around the world. Abstract, the word, comes from the Latin word abstractus, which means drawn away or detached. It is used a lot to contrast with something that is real, a place where impression and imagination are free to run wild. Is called the abstract, the unknown. This doesn't mean that all abstract photography is dark and hazy, but it does that mean some are. People don't agree on what abstract photography means. Like abstract art, it lets people come up with many ways to look at abstract. It's my passion to take pictures of nature. When I go to a jungle to take pictures of wildlife, I always have a second plan in my mind. This project turned out that way. I also used to get photos of flora from the wild. Wood bark has always attracted me because it has so many different patterns and color shades. When I decided to make a project on abstract, suddenly my idea flew into wood bark, which I captured during the last few years. I was curious as to how nature created these incredible patterns and the colors on the wood bark of various flora species. To show the idea of abstract art in nature, these 10 bodies were chosen from hundreds of frames that had them. I believe that these bodies of nature art will demonstrate that nature is the best artist the universe has ever known. Volume 1, Edition 1, body of work, 10 dimensions, etc. I think it's a great artist statement. Great artist statement.
I agree.
Yeah. And just, looking at these from afar, really, really beautiful patterns, right? Gorgeous patterns in here. Series of 10, 9 are available. So the first one, actually, Ancient Kingdom, was collected by someone. So yeah, really, really interesting work. 0.15. I think that's very fair. 1, especially with the current USD to ETH conversion prices.
Yeah, I think this is well, I love abstract landscape photography, so I dig these. That first one is pretty awesome. You know, that has very there's so much going on there. I can see why that one got picked up right away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, looking through, this is an artist who has a lot of different work. So this is super focused for him, which I like. I think that one thing that's a little tricky, and I'll I'll just put this out there. I also did a collection of abstracts on Sloika, and even to now, I've only sold 3 of the 8 pieces. So but that being said, I have other friends who have sold more pieces of abstract, like especially like dunes and sand patterns. But I've seen a lot, like abstracts are a little tricky. They people really love them, but people don't. Oftentimes they're a little slower to buy them, which is kind of I've noticed, which is a weird place to be when you have bet a lot of your artist reputation and your your style on that. But that being said, this kind of art is really beautiful, and I think telling the story of why these are important is going to be really key to selling them. And that part. So when I look, how old is this collection? Can we tell? I know it's hard to tell on Sloika.
I think we can tell. Let's see.
I was trying to look and see if I.
Do I have to view metadata?
View metadata doesn't give you any dates. It just gives you a text file. It basically pulls in. It takes you directly to the metadata.
Yeah, when was this purchased? This is the one that was purchased. So we don't have that information.
I'm looking. See if I can figure that out. Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe someone in the chat knows. Just
I'm pulling it up, and I'm trying to pull it up on somewhere. Now, I'm not having any luck here. Anyway, the collector that bought it has a lot of abstracts in their collection, which is kind of cool. So that tells me so, and it looks like they also own another piece or 2 from this artist.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing too. Is there's people that like abstract, and so those are probably going to be the ones that are drawn to this. And there are some people that just don't resonate with abstract for some reason. I love abstract, but yeah, it's kind of like you have to kind of wait for those players too, and for them to notice this. And the best way for them to notice this is probably to be part of some groups that have to do with abstract, and also just talking about the pieces on Twitter and stuff, and bringing some nice to it, right?
Yeah.
Love this collection. Let's see the Twitter.
Cool.
Mutual follow. Pretty decent amount of followers, almost 8,000. Launched Heaven. So yeah. So we June 25th. Your pinned tweet. It's like you've where's your abstracts? Nowhere.
Yeah, I think that's ultimately kind of what we're coming down to is that. Yeah, we're not. I'm not seeing this work.
It's all about his edition, and understand that.
Which is okay. We've been talking about focusing on editions, so that's okay. I'm not I don't. We dug a little deeper into the submissions as well, so this may have been submitted, weeks ago.
Yeah, it's true. And this is sold out, maybe 44 owners. No, he has seven. He has seven more. I mean, this is really nice. You know, so he was able to get 44 owners or 43, whatever. Um, for this piece. So, but he advertised the heck out of it. Like it's all over his Twitter.
Yeah.
So
So this is
maybe,
he's doing what we talked about, right? I mean, he's doing the
yeah,
right thing, and I think that it is wise to. I had a session with another successful artist, kind of a coaching session a couple of weeks ago, and he just flat out told me, he goes like, you know what, your one of one work, it's going to be really hard to move it right now, and so it makes more sense for you to focus on building community with people that are interested in what the kind of work you do. Don't worry about trying to sell anything to them. Realize that a lot of collectors hold them out, and if you've got edition work that you want to spend the time and energy on, do it. But it's okay if you don't. It's okay if you pause a little bit. In this case, what I would do is I would just keep pushing to sell out Heaven Above the Clouds. Get that edition sold out, and then you have a built-in audience of people who own your work. And when things come around, they will either help you promote it or they'll buy it.
exactly. Well said. Yeah. So I mean, hopefully the attention can come back in one-on-ones a little bit more, right? I have been seeing some one-on-ones being bought lately, though. I do see it. You gotta understand that people that are coming into the market that have USD or whatever currency they bring into the market, and they buy ETH with it, they're actually getting art at a discount right now. So I mean, what is it? What is 0.1? What is it? It must be like it's probably like 150, $180, $154. So it's a lot different than when we looked at 6 months ago with that cost, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe 3x, and ETH was 4,000. You're looking at 4x.
But I also think it's good to remember, while we are thinking, oh yeah, now it's all cheap, you have to remember that also a lot of people who had a lot of ETH,
Yeah,
they were sitting on, oh yeah, I've got $50,000 worth of ETH, I can buy a bunch of art. Well, now they're sitting on $20,000 of ETH.
exactly.
So so they're
Exactly.
so they're a little more. Some people are just a little more reluctant, and people that I had that were pretty hardcore collectors that would regularly buy from me have just slowed down or disappeared. So I think it's just good to be aware of that, and you may sell some one of ones, and that's cool. But I would realize that the people who are selling one of ones right now are a lot of times people who the collector's been looking at their work for a while, or they have a really well known name, that sort of thing. Um,
Yeah, their name is huge, and they can sell whether we're in a drought or we're in a surplus. Like so, but yeah. So I think that's all on that. I really like the work, and his edition looks like it's about to sell out soon. Congratulations on that. Let's get some retweets out on his edition so you can focus more on his other
he's in the
work there.
chat too. And in the chat, he said, "Hey, that's what he's doing. He's focusing on the edition currently." So good work, Neil. That's great.
Oh yeah, I see him in here. Awesome, dude. Beautiful work. We love the edition and also the rest of it as well. And that was Dan speaking. So,
Yep.
all right, cool. Let's see. Move on to the next collection here. Next collection is Himalayan stars. This is by Ubik or Ubik. So another pretty large drop. 30 images. I consider it to be a large drop. And there's some really, really great images in here. Like some of my favorite ones. I'm going to try to pull up here. They are Night Out, Eternal, Starboys, Blue Hour, Dreamer, Align. Just happens to be that those amazing images that I really like, they get a bit lost within some of the ones that just aren't as good. So this is Starboys.
Yeah.
Which is gorgeous, gorgeous composition. Love the way they're standing. That Milky Way, that's the Milky Way, right? The Milky Way is just looking phenomenal through here. I love the red on the rocks. I love how they look small in scale because we just got them at the bottom of the frame here. We just show a little bit. It's really well done. I'm going to go through some of the ones real quick that I think are really well done. So that Starboy, there was Night Out, and there's Eternal that I really like. Here's Eternal. I think what I really enjoy about this one is how clean it is. When it comes to astral stuff, sometimes distractions in the foreground really, really take away from that beauty in the sky. So that's another one I thought was really good. When I talk about distractions, this, for instance, prayers, was one that I just couldn't resonate with it as much. At least on my screen, it's pretty. It seems to be blown out this year, or just too bright of a subject for me to really, relate this as one of the best pieces. I don't know how you feel about that, though, Dan, but
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, it's a little strong. My eyes want to stay there, but the real subject is like, let's see. Here's the other ones that I thought were really great. Dreamer. Let's look at Blue Hour actually, because Dreamer's similar to the two boys. Blue Hours are so the ones where I feel like you can have a subject, but the subject is like simple enough to not take away from what's going on in the sky, and you got these blues coming out of the RV. The beautiful like old RV. It reminds me of being on the open road and on a road trip. Got a figure just off to the side here, a little light here that kind of balances the left side of the frame. That was another one for me that really worked. I don't have any in mind that was really strong for you, Dan. This one too, a line. Beautiful image though. But it seems as though you're pricing these images at half of an ETH, the ones that you really know are really strong. Like, look at these beautiful greens here and how well they go with the man in the orange. He's got that mask on. You can tell it's really cold out there. The Milky Way is just perfect coming through. So, a lot of my observation is just that, like, there's lots of really, really strong ones that kind of get lost in some of the more repetitive ones, or the ones like Spaceship here that I just don't know are as strong as some of the other ones. And on that, I'll pass this over to Dan since he's more landscape and astro than I am.
Yeah. First of all, these are really beautiful. There's some great work here. You've done a really great job with. I think one of the things that, and I don't even think of myself as a kind of hardcore astro photographer. I just done it enough that I'm comfortable with it, and I've sold a few pieces that are Milky Way, night sky. I think that your technique and your process is you've got that down. I like the color, the way that you've processed these. I think that's really great. So I think for me, when I look at this collection, I'm seeing a few things that I think. Okay, Milky Way is an interesting idea for a collection, and one of the things that I'm finding is if I look at the bottom, kind of down towards the bottom of the collection, Mike, if you wouldn't mind going down there, just
Yes.
scroll.
I'm just responding to a text saying I'm teaching a class because the person keeps calling me.
So there's a few here. Starboys.
Yeah. These are all the ones I talked about that I really, really like.
One with stars, symmetry. I think these are all way too similar. I think that your person towards the at the bottom near, especially Starboys and Dreamer, that's basically the same picture.
So if we click on Dreamer too, and it says something in there, right? It says, note, the reason this is not along the most expensive pieces in the collection is because of the importance of community. Two Brothers has the value because of this sheer reason. A little confusing to me as to double the price for the other one, and why this one is a community piece, but the other one is not.
To me, Yeah, to me, I look at these and I just think Starboys is the winner. I think keep that one, get rid of Dreamer. But I also think that Symmetry also, like I think that is not as strong of an image. And it's hard because I will say this, as an astrophotographer, I know that I'm seeing Symmetry and it's a great Milky Way photo. Like it might be one of the best Milky Way shots here. It's really great, really well done. But I just feel like you don't have room to have multiples of the same composition. And here's the part that's tricky. Milky Way kind of looks one way. It's kind of like a big line of milky stars and it kind of tilts and you can only position it so many ways. And then you got to figure this is why people talk about when you're shooting Milky Way, you got to come up with an interesting foreground because otherwise it always looks the same. And you've got some really interesting foregrounds here. So I just think those are all a little too similar. One of the ones I really do like is Meditation, which is the guy sitting, looks like probably like in a lotus pose, um, sitting under, on a rock or something under the stars.
Yeah, I know that one.
Yeah, it's over on the right-hand side.
Right here, Meditation.
Yeah, I really like this. I think this is a really unique Milky Way photo. I haven't seen another photo like this, so I find that really interesting. You've got a couple different ones with the vehicles in the foreground. I would probably lean into just the one Blue Hour, which is already sold, is really great. But like, I don't know that I would include Traveler. It's it's the same sort of vibe, but not done quite as well. The hard part here is that Traveler has once again a really superb Milky Way.
Yeah.
Like,
Let's
so
see. Here it is.
looks great, man. Antares is going nuts. You've got that Rho Ophiuchi complex is all purple, and you've got all the great colors in there. So I get why you like it, and I think it's great. But also, when you're editing, there's some issue here. I'm thinking maybe this is blended, but you've got a little bit of halo along the horizon, and I would probably darken the mountain a little bit. A little too bright.
Yeah, and I'll give some of the same advice that I gave on the collection of 50. Like why not make this a collection of 10?
Right.
And then when that sells out, add the next 10 or add 5, rather than just dropping all the, like, it's just giving me too many options.
Well, and here's a couple obvious. I mean, I don't know that I would probably get rid of. There's two of them right next to each other, Vibrance and Stars on the Ground. I don't think either one of those are very strong images in this collection.
Stars on the Ground here, and then Vibrance is here. I think, yeah. I mean, I think I like Stars on the Ground better. But
also, Night Rider, I think is maybe not quite as. It's not one I would keep in here. I would trim. I would trim down to like you said, like 10, maybe 15. And I think can we take a look at his overall, go look at
work?
Collection, other work, yeah.
Well, yeah, let's just click on an image to do that. Let's click on Star Boys. I want to see it again.
He doesn't have it. He only has one other thing that shows up. He has a foundation that shows up. So this is all the OpenSea work he has.
Okay, that's fine.
So I wanted to look at that because I think it's important to note that if I look back at Himalayan stars, you have 0.2 volume. So you've sold 2 pieces. I think that we might be good to revisit this and think about trim it way back and think about redoing with a consistent pricing. The 2 you've sold are 0.12 and 0.08. So you've got all this stuff priced at 0.2 and 0.5. I think maybe like a 0.15 across the board would be a more realistic pricing just because you don't have a lot of sales history. But that being said, Milky Way work is not easy. So I understand, maybe wanting to charge more. I just think that you just have to realize, like we said, it's going to be harder to sell these one of ones. And if you pump them up into that 0.2, 0.25 range or more, it'll be really hard to sell.
On OpenSea especially, it's hard to sell or 0.5. I mean, I see 0.5 sell on the foundation. But on OpenSea, that's a high primary price.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you see that on secondary
Yeah.
collection does supremely well, like row homes or something like that.
Right.
um, but yeah, I mean, also, you know, I really like this shot. I really came here to get the properties. Once again, people are putting the properties that we used to. The aperture, camera, and focal length is a lot less important than your edition 1 of 1, your licensing, your artist name, you know, those aspects, the dimensions, I think are more important in this. Like, I'd like to know the dimensions. I use DPI. Like, I think dimensions in DPI are more important than aperture and focal length. Maybe not in Astro, I don't know, but definitely like your artist name, your edition size, and your licensing. I think should be in the properties.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Outside of that, you know, amazing Astro work, really beautiful.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool. And I'm ready to move on. If OpenSea's ready to move on.
Good luck. Fine art portraits, that's the one, the next one.
Yeah, it's opening. Let's see here. Okay. The loading. Okay, cool. All right, so let's see just what I put in my notes here. So yeah, fine art portrait. This is by Toby D. Photographer. So, you know, immediately right off the I love these images. They're absolutely beautiful. But the sea story throws me off. It's the only one in here that is not a portrait, and it's a little bit confusing. As to, maybe I have to click on it and see a description about why. For old souls, the sea is a source of comfort. A sea can be a story for lovers. For those who are depressed, the sea can provide the most solace. For the earth, the sea is reciprocity. I don't know why I can't say this word right now. Of memories, shot by Mad D. Photo manipulation by Toby D. Photographer. So, yeah, I mean, this was that.
That doesn't belong in this collection.
Yeah, it's very strange because it's called Fine Art Portrait Collection, and then that's just in there, where everything else is fine art portraits are just about. I'm not sure if this Cupid shot fits, but you know, some of these are just like really brilliantly stunning. They've sold for 0.4, 0.4, but it's also a really old collection too, though. I mean, if we look at it, I'm talking about 6 months ago, right?
Yeah.
And Jeff XL is now listing it for 5 ETH. So congrats on that. These images are really fantastic.
And the one at the bottom edition.
The one of at the
Book-
bottom is
Book of Eighths.
it's an edition, you said?
Yeah, it's an edition. It looks like none have been sold at this point.
He's probably going to use this to airdrop or something. Oh, it's a gift to my collectors. Yeah.
Minted
I
night. He minted it during our session here.
Oh, he minted it 9 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Wow, that's cool. Book of Eats, beautiful. You know, that's awesome. Yeah. So what else did I have here? So yeah, it's minted quite a bit ago. The pricing, if you've obviously sold some of these for 0.04 and 0.05, which I think was a lot more possible 6 months ago, because that's like when you sold these, right?
3 months. Yeah.
Oh, 3 months too. Some of these.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's really good work, right? Just, I do have to say that maybe 0.5, 0.6 is steep at this market right now, but maybe the artist is patient, right? And so when this market passes through, that they'll be able to sell some of these. But I don't know. Let's look into some of these because they're really something else. Like really cool, really beautiful. They make you think. They have a poetic aspect to them. Look at this.
Oh, it looks like there's a they're collaborative in terms of the poem that goes with each one is written by somebody else, right?
Oh wow. There, if you look at the center of the universe, you'll notice that the eyes play an important role in our lives. They not only allow us to see the beauty of our world, but also allow us to see that there is coldness there as well. There is a void. Through the eye, we see our true selves. By Toby. And who? So he wrote that, right? I don't know that is there collaborative. Is it poetry on that one, or is that something different you were saying?
Yeah. Let me look at that one. Yeah, the other one said at the bottom it said yeah, this one looks like it's just by the artist, but the other one said the words were by somebody else. Did we, I'm a little foggy, but did you already read through about the artist?
Like the statement up here.
Yeah, did I just totally missed that?
I mean I did before today. All right, so oops.
Today. I thought it was
no. I did yesterday, but let me read it again. A physical copy of art pieces that are 0.4 ETH and above will be sent to the first collector of each piece. A collection of some of my fine art portraits shot over the years. I'm a fine art photographer based in Lagos, Nigeria. My art involves modernizing the Renaissance that blurs the line between a photograph and a painting. Definitely doing that because some of these do look like paintings. A collection of images I have shot through the years. Edition 1 of 1. Yeah, so some of these images seem a lot more like portraits, right? Like this one, for instance, right, that we were looking at staring. So there's a lot more of a, you wouldn't question it, right? And then there's a lot of some other ones that seem like a lot more of like photoshopped sort of composite or something. Let me see if I can go back and find the one I'm talking about. OpenSea is doing its slow thing. So obviously something like this, right? You know.
That's cool. There's one other one I just clicked on. It's called Haut, Haut is how it's spelled, and then skin, and it actually is a moving image.
Yes. I did see a play button on one of the images. It's probably it. This one's hiding. It's got a play. Hot. Here we go. Hot skin. Maybe hot is another name for skin. in the language, in this original language. Trying to click it. Open. See.
Good job, OpenSea.
Did you see that OpenSea, someone from the company that that got all of our emails and gave them to people?
I did see that. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a bunch of emails today saying, "Oh, you can get $3,600 in Social Security this year." I have emails that say like, "Are you ready to receive your EBT and welfare?" And all this stuff. I have like 10 emails about this today.
Yeah.
Wow. Does this have music to it? No, it's just a moving piece. Interesting, although, you know, I don't know that I probably would have went from right to left on this. I probably would have came in to the face and moved out. I think the still ones for me have been the strongest so far.
Yeah.
But I didn't look at any of the other moving ones. So let's see this one. This was really interesting shot. Yeah, well, that's a bit more interesting in that movement than the other. But in the same token, I don't know that it's stronger than just it's still. I do like it still. Also, that's going to be up to the viewer, though, right?
Right.
There's another one.
So there's no link to the Twitter profile on here.
Mm-hmm. We can click on his open scene and let's see. Created. There's a lot more other stuff in here that's created, right? There's other collections too. Wow, there's a lot of collections. Oh wow. There's a lot of collections. Headgear, this looks cool. What is this?
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, they are. There's no sales currently on it. There's what's this? 4 items. Putting out a lot of work. Probably flooding your own market a little bit too much. Beautiful work.
It was a
Great
Twitter
artist.
main bio, so
Yeah. So this has 0.82 in volume. Are these additions? 0.07. No, they're one of ones that he just sold for 0.07, which after selling them out, garnished 0.82. Okay, cool. I mean, all those collections. But how do I get back to the main collection? What is it called here? Does it see it? I don't see it on here. Do you?
no.
I don't see it up there, but I will notice a picture. I think this is from it right here. Yep, this is the collection. Oh, so I'm sorry, what's written down. The Sea Story one, yeah, throws me off. Obviously, minted 6 months ago, and so, obviously we've gone through a market that's been really tough. I think some of the prices are a bit steep for the market we're in currently still. Missing some details of properties I wrote as well. So let's take a look at that. We sort this by oldest. I'll sort this by oldest, and then so we can look at the newer ones and see if the properties are better on the newer ones. So let's go to something like this. Beautiful piece. No properties. So you could add your properties in here. So what is this here? No indication that it's a one of one. I have no idea whether or not it's image. This is stuff that's really important, especially that we're in an editions market right now. Like, I understand your price like looks obvious to be a one of one, but there's nothing here that says that you can't sell this for 0.6 and then just say like, oh well, it was edition of 10 or something. As a collector, it'd be a hard buy for me with no properties, no indication that I'm buying a one of one. So I would definitely work on that as well.
Yeah. I think when I clicked through to his Twitter profile, and I would say that I think there's a lot of work out there, and let me back up a little bit. First of all, the work is beautiful. Like, this is really interesting, really special art. I'm really impressed. I think that it would serve you well to to get people focused more, because like when I look at the banner image on your Twitter account, it's great. But and I think that even your pin tweet is really great. But when I start scrolling through the feed, you're not talking about your work often enough, I don't think. I would focus on the individual pieces. Like, I see one here that you've posted. It's called Head Knowledge, which is great, but it's not from the current collection you're talking about. Or if it is, you didn't link to it. So I don't know. I guess maybe I'll back up a little bit. What I'm seeing that it just seems like there's an awful lot of stuff out there, but it's not very focused.
Yeah.
I would focus in on a smaller amount of work and talk about that consistently.
Exactly. It's perfectly said.
I also see there's some NFT work. Looks like you just sold one on NFT or on Foundation, like in the last day or so. And there's a whole body of work on Foundation too.
Nice. You're also missing the links here. So like, there's no Instagram link, there's no Twitter link, there's no website link, there's just no links.
The links are in the bio in the main profile. So if you click through to his main profile, the links are there.
Oh, okay. But can't you add it to your collections too?
I think you can, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Awesome work.
Yeah, I agree.
On that note, move on. So this next one is called Plain and Simple, and this is by Amir Amir Hossein. And so I looked into it. Looks like there was a last sale was 1 month ago, and a lot of these are sold. More than half are sold, right? I mean,
Yeah.
look at they're really beautiful, right? They're really beautiful. I looked for a description here. There is none. Right? So you can look at activity. Nice pricing. Getting good amount, right? But they're beautiful pieces, so it seems like you could get a little bit more foundation. And so there are descriptions within these, and there are some really beautiful pieces. So it's gorgeous. Clearly this person understands how to create a studio portrait, uh, how to operate within color relationships, and might even have a team that does makeup and hair or does it themselves. I don't know, but gorgeous work. This is high level studio portrait there, as far as I'm concerned. Um, So description here, this collection is inspired by minimalistic Japanese moth philosophy, Japanese culture, their traditional paintings, their flower arranging and styles. Minimalism is very important to me. Making work of art that is both simple and everything fits together is very important and difficult work. In this collection, these points such as composition, colors, minimalism, such factors have been very important. And I always been inspired by the famous phrase, the architect Ludwig Mies van der Rohe, less is more. I feel the same way. That's the same way about how I shoot my street work. I try to shoot in a very simple and minimal way and say a lot. And it can be difficult, and these do that. They're uh, really beautiful. You like them, Dan?
I do. Sorry, I was muted. To me, I don't know how that the banner image. How is that one still available? Like to me,
Because you
that's
didn't
the
buy it yet. It's a great band match. Yeah,
yeah.
I think it could be the best shot in the set.
Oh yeah, I think it's. I have no question about it. It's the best. It's the best shot here.
Yeah,
One
I'm
of the
really
things.
drawn to this one too. Go ahead.
Yeah, they're good. Well,
Sorry.
and I was looking. I went and looked through. Went and clicked through to his overall foundation profile, and I just think this is just. There's just a lot of great work here. And this is there's a tonality to the way that this artist understands skin and skin
Yeah.
tone and I don't know how much of this is retouching, how much of it is makeup work, but there's a super consistent look across all of these. Even and if you go look, just go click out to his main, go look at all of the pieces in foundation for him,
Sure.
and like look at the skin tones across these, and not like these are people of different ethnicities.
Whoa.
Like I see people with like a more of a like a Middle Eastern sort of uh, facial structure. I see Asian. I see
These are
uh,
sick. So
look
good.
at the one. Look all the way at the bottom. Look at that one behind the mask.
Behind the man. Are you talking about this here?
Oh no, all the way at the bottom. The one with
I'm
the
at the
makeup.
bottom.
Yeah, the one.
Oh, that's the name of it. This one's called Carmine. Maybe I clicked the wrong one.
I was talking about the one next to it, but it's super interesting to me how even though these women all have different complexions, different skin tones, there's a luminescence that's common across all of them.
I got behind the mask open now.
Yeah, I mean, this is so interesting. Like, look at those big giant fake eyelashes.
Yeah.
Um, to me, this is just kind of fascinating.
Huge eyes too.
Yeah, yeah.
Beautiful.
And then also one more, look up a little bit further up. There's one that's sold. It's the one with the sliver of light over the eyes. Eyes like
Yeah, I
open.
love that. I love that.
Yeah, so I mean, this is super intentional, really, really well done work.
Oh yeah.
And so here's what I like. That collection that we looked at, very focused, has a very consistent theme. They all work really well together. I love it. I think it's great. And I also love that it fits into the overall body of work as well, and that it's not, it's not just a standalone. Oh, this is a great collection, but the rest isn't good. No, all of it's good. All of it's
Yeah,
really
I mean, I really just picked this collection just to kind of praise the collection and the ability to create something, beautifully cohesive with like these pastel colors and just show what I think a gorgeous banner, just to show what I think a beautiful, really beautiful collection could look like on Foundation. I think this is a great, great example.
yeah.
Yeah. On that note, I don't have anything else for the artist.
Yeah. I guess if I were going to say anything, it's just it's great work. Keep curating your own work this way.
Yeah.
I'm impressed with the quality of what you're making, but also how you've presented it. This is one of the best looking Foundation profiles I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's probably the best looking one I've ever seen so far. So, congratulations, very awesome. Cool. With that, we'll move on to an addition. It's like I really like. I really try to mix up the different things happening at editions on OpenSea edition on today. So this is called Overthrown, and this is by Peter Rooney. And so let's read this first. In the pursuit of that perfect compositional moment, we anticipate needing to take multiple shots. We accept that most of the shots will not make the final cut. Here's one that almost didn't. And so we look through, they're all the same. First thing I was looking for when I looked at this, I was like, "Where's the geisha? The geisha, however you say it,
Right.
like the one that's in." I think that's so cool now. After I saw the original first edition collection done by Sabode, where he had all of the lions, and then he had the one giraffe, one of one, as the geisha or gasha. And if you guys aren't familiar with that, it's like a bunch of people buy these editions, and then one of those wallets randomly get the one of one also, right? And so that's like a really cool game. It makes it gamified. It makes it really cool. So I was looking for a gacha when I looked at this. But anyway, beautiful image, right? So 0. These are collected at the top.
Right.
How many are available? Okay,
20.
so 7 are sold.
Yeah.
So if we open one up, there's 0.03. That's a very, very fair price. It's a really beautiful and surreal shot. Kind of reminds me of how the that last artist we were looking at works with these like with coloring and these backgrounds that have texture. So when I read this, I thought it was really interesting. So the description here: one, two, three, throw, repeat, repeat, repeat. So it sounds like over and over again they're doing the same thing, right? So whether it was the mistiming of the shutter press, never heard that word, but that's cool. Mistiming of the shutter press or the fabric being thrown. My initial reactions to this image were to laugh at the fact that the fabric had wrapped around the dancer's head like that. Okay, so it's wrapped around her head. I love it. Wrapped around the head like this. Then to embark the file for trash. But something about the image intrigued me and kept bringing me back to it days that followed. What I had been so quick to dismiss initially as a failed composition began to show itself as unique and beautiful. So I find this artist, this description of these to be really, really a beautiful one. And this is what I think the importance is of like sometimes sleeping on things or going back on your work from that you've taken months ago and looking at the photos that you flagged versus the ones that you actually picked and used, or the ones that you didn't even flag, because sometimes you go back and something speaks to you different on a different day. And so yeah, these are approximately 31 USD. They're really gorgeous. Anything from you on this edition?
I mean, just I so Peter's work is pretty awesome. I'm just gonna say that. So it's interesting to see this, kind of outtake as an addition. I think it's fun. It's like you said in the description, it wasn't necessarily intentional, but it's kind of a fun way to use, sort of an outtake.
Yeah, absolutely. I like it a lot. I think it's really interesting. The only thing I had on here was had you thought of using it? Gosh, because it's so cool. But other than that, no, I think there's the addition of mount 20 is a really nice amount. Price is a really nice amount, and it's a gorgeous image. I think it's just not much critical to really say about this. It's just yeah, I think it's well done.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, so basically just free shout out. Like, cool.
Yeah, I think it's, and if we were gonna, I think it's always good to kind of poke around a little bit and see. And when I look at Peter's, if you go and look at his other work, he's got some like, just go look at his foundation page. I mean, this is kind of next. This is really, really cool.
Whoa, this one's crazy. I love that. That's weird. Love it. Yeah, once again, we're looking at like another like studio photographer that like really understands how to operate within the studio, how to make a connection to these people, have them feel comfortable around them. And these textures, the colors, yeah, it's all really, really phenomenal.
Yeah, I think it's really fun that he did did an outtake for his edition. I like it.
Love it. An outtake shot that maybe wasn't going to make the cut, but I think actually is a beautiful image. Cool.
Yeah.
Props, Peter. It's awesome. Cool. This is the last collection we're at now. This is Tales from Torres del Paine, 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 maybe. And this is by artist Stephen Lang. We've seen some of Stephen's stuff.
Yeah.
Stephen. So take a look at this. So he dropped 12 items. We'll actually read this first. Had the chance to take a trip to visit Chilean Patagonia in April of 2022. So he was just there. This is his most recent body of work then, during their fall season. Patagonia has been a place I wanted to visit for years. So I was thrilled for the chance to go, and it didn't disappoint. From the array of fall colors to the majestic mountains and the emerald lakes, I was in photography heaven. The collection highlights my favorite photos I took during my 10 days in Torres del Paine National Park in southern Chile. So only 10 days. What's that? Only?
I would love to go there. And in 10 days, man, that'd be a dream.
Yeah.
This is really beautiful. What a beautiful location. Here's one of the things I really like about this. I see so many photos from this area that are, for lack of a better word, just like fantastical and fake, like just super, super overdone. I like that these don't feel like that. These are.
Look at this one.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. Super wide angle, with all of this. Yeah, it's kind of cool.
I like this one too, the Dead Woods. I open sea slow.
Look
Oh,
at
yeah,
yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, that's a good one.
words. I like the all the foreground branches here and all this. But
We'll open.
he's missing a lot of properties. Yeah, which one do you want to open?
Here's I just want to say something about that one, the Deadwoods.
Yeah.
Stephen, I think that this is great. I would maybe think about doing a little bit of a localized adjustment to bring down the highlights in the mountains to get it to, but it's blowing out a little bit too much for me there. And I would see if that down, either bring down the whites or the highlights, and then maybe think about trying to bring up a little bit of contrast and the foreground is, here's the part that's crazy. I know that the bottom is shaded and the top is not, but you might want a little tiny smidge of warmth and color in your foreground just to get it to balance a little better. Not a lot. You still want it to have a blue hour vibe down below, whereas the sun is hitting up above, but maybe a little bit more just to get it to warm up a little bit. It looks almost like it doesn't work top to bottom. But what's crazy is when I zoom in on this picture, there's tons of detail. This is a cool shot. And it's also a scene I've never seen before.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Once again, the properties are on this a lot today, though. I think people are putting the properties that don't matter as much. But yeah, love to have that one-of-one edition,
Yeah.
one-of-one, and the licensing.
Yeah, add the licensing. And then another one, here's the good stuff for properties. Add the location, add that it's fall, add that it's the national park, those sorts of things.
Yeah, look at this one. This one's not for sale, though. Maybe he wants to keep it for himself. Looking over Grey Glacier.
He had it listed, and then it looks like it expired. So I think he probably just didn't re-up the listing.
Another interesting shot. Lots of blues happening. This one too. This is the highest priced one. So this is a 0.25. Everything else is 0.2. Let's read about it. So the first day will be the hardest hiking day. I was told as the group and I embarked on our 20-kilometer day, one trek to the towers. The hike was filled with all four seasons and multiple terrains along the way. The end of this hike involved trekking up 4 kilometers to finally reach these towers. It was exhausting, but the views were 100% worth it. When I first arrived at the towers, they were completely shrouded in clouds. I waited patiently, hoping that they would clear up, and after roughly 30 minutes, the clouds began to part and I could finally begin to see them. I quickly found the best spot I could for the best composition, and what you see is the result: a beautiful emerald-colored lake in front of the majestic 3 towers of Torres del Paine. I love the description. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why it's priced a little bit more, because that sounds like quite the hike. Right?
Yeah.
Going through all 4 seasons, like
Yeah.
and it's a gorgeous shot.
I've always wanted to visit there. I've seen multiple pictures from there. It looks amazing. Once again, I'm going to give just a little bit of editing feedback. Stephen, I would pull back your highlights some because you're blowing out. Your clouds are a little blown out, and the face of that rock in the foreground is also a little blown out. I'm zoomed in on it, and I can kind of see that it still has detail. So I think you've got a little bit of room there.
This one here too. On the left side.
But these are beautiful. I do like, and I don't want to push you too much toward over processing, because I actually like that they're not over processed and fantastical. I'll just say that might be one of my favorite things, is that they're really beautiful shots. They're punchy and vibrant, but they're not. They don't feel fake. They feel like real, like documentary travel work. I like that.
Mm-hmm. The iceberg. Interesting shot. Lots of negative space.
I feel like you could cut off a lot of the top on this one.
Yeah, on iceberg, right? It's a little. Maybe it's a bit much negative space. I do like the water that leads into it, like you said.
Yeah.
Black up top. Let's see some of these campsite. Chileno. It's a pretty shot.
Yeah, it's a really interesting. Here's what's great. I just haven't. These are once again the kinds of shots I haven't seen from these areas. So I like this.
Yeah.
These are more travel photography than just landscape, and I like that.
All right. So when were these minted? Let's take a look. 2 months ago. Right. So you minted it like immediately when it got back almost.
Yeah.
So nothing has sold. Is that the case? Nothing has sold yet. I know I'm like beating a dead horse with this. Like, maybe dropping the best 6 is a better idea, than just dropping in 12. Uh, it's also obviously a tough market right now. Would maybe the other idea was making an edition collection and starting off with just one, you know, just one image and selling it as an edition, then adding to this as a collection of editions. There's a lot of different routes you can take.
So I'm gonna back up a little bit. I want to say something because I know Stephen is somebody that has been really active in the MetaJungle community. We've chatted before. We've reviewed his work before. When I look at your OpenSea work, I'm seeing 78 pieces created. You've got a few different collections here, and kind of what I feel like might be important is to think about release less work. You've got go look at the collections. Might be good to just kind
Yeah,
of.
I mean,
Oh.
not even like release less work, but he can just remove some of it. Like,
Well,
like
the same exact thing here recently. I removed a bunch of stuff.
yeah,
I,
me too.
so he's got an edition. So there's an edition that's out that looks like it's maybe brand new. It doesn't have any. There's no volume yet, and it was minted 2 months ago. So there's an edition. There is an Oregon collection. There's an Alberta collection. There's a Mexico collection. There's a Canyon collection. There's a Costa Rica collection, and then there's Torres del Paine.
So this edition was minted 2 months ago and hasn't sold any. And I'll be honest, I don't think I don't think it's strong enough of a representation of his work. Like,
Yeah,
I just
I
don't.
I hate to kind of be picky, but yeah, I kind of agree.
It's a little too. It's a little too like the sky is just a little too heavily blue. Yeah, but the subject is in a kind of an odd position. The house.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's just other pieces that from his work that I would have picked. Like, I mean, like, yeah, I'm just gonna be straight up honest. Like, I would go in and I would just remove this collection. I would just remove this. You've already saturated yourself with too much. You have too much going on. You have too much to worry about right now. Any other collection that you have right now with no sales, I would remove.
right.
Besides, well, not this one. I mean, this is your brand new one, right? I mean, it's from 2 months, but at the same time, you might think about removing it because the focus is too much.
Well, and I don't know, like I don't know if we might be worth looking at what he's doing to promote, because I really have been. Steven's a cool guy. I'm a fan of his work. He's been in the space here, being supportive of other people.
Tax. Yeah.
Like just a cool guy, a good guy. And I feel like I look at that Oregon one. I remember seeing that when you dropped it, but it doesn't have any sales yet at this point. And I don't know what you're doing to promote your work. You've got I'm looking at his Twitter account. He's got 658 followers. Got links to Costa Rica, Oregon, and Alberta right in the profile. And when I look through here, I see that you're sharing work, and that's great. But
Beautiful shot.
I don't see a consistent. Yeah, that's the Secret Beach down Southern
Sick.
Oregon. Here in Oregon, there's so it's like that picture. Look at the top row. That picture of those two giant yellow trees. I have that exact same photo. We were probably within a day or two of each other.
Yeah, so it's like if you go through like each one of these collections, like there's some really, really like banger shots. Maybe they don't all need their own collection. Maybe you just need like a landscape collection that just has just all the best stuff from Costa Rica, from Oregon, from Torres. I mean, just you're just creating so many collections at this point that it's um, in the long run as an artist, it can really hold you back.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what I'm seeing here. Is I know people hear this and they go, "Oh, well, that's great." Here's what I want to tell you, Stephen. I think you're a really great photographer. You've got some really stunning work. I think that you're being a little bit indiscriminate with what you put out there, and there's so much work that I think people probably find it overwhelming when they go to like look at buying something. But also maybe on top of that, you aren't focusing. This is a marketing thing. If you're going to try to sell work, you have to be marketing the work, and I don't see you doing that in a way that like when I recognize your face from my Twitter feed and from MetaJungle, but it's hard for me to I don't identify you with any specific work. And I think it's because you're not focused quite enough on sharing specific work and being like, this is who I am, this is what I do.
Sure. Yeah. The same way I know Steven from space for sure, and I know him from the AMAs and MetaJungle stuff, but I don't know him to be very active in his in showcasing his own work, or just I don't know about his activity too much on Twitter, so I won't go there. But like, yeah,
Well,
I agree.
I will say one thing here too. I don't know, I will say this, that Steven's Twitter feed looks different than I'm used to seeing in the NFT space. So
Really,
why don't you go click on his feed and look
I
at
did.
what regular tweets. Scroll through there.
Okay. And he's got. Well, he has all of his collections. That's the thing. His pinned tweet. He has so many collections in his pinned tweet. So he's advertising them all at the same time. Let's look at the rest. Hold on. This is beautiful. This is showcasing another artist. This is great.
Yep. But I will say this though, if you start looking through there, this is I'm used to seeing a little more other stuff than just posting your own photo once a day.
Yeah, I mean, he's got political stuff mixed in. Like, I mean, obviously, probably George Carlin on a political rant. This is Bill Mayer speaking politics.
You'll look starting around June 15th, and you'll see.
I got June 15th. So Cat Samard, Imagine Your Net Worth.
The next few, it's just his own work.
But he's not talking about it though.
Right. Exactly.
And there's no link to where to buy it.
No.
I would talk about it. You have to bring some imagination to it for people. Maybe even just yeah. What's that?
You got to tell the story.
Yeah, exactly. Tell the story.
Now I'm gonna go look at his. I'm gonna click to tweets and replies and see how that looks. And it doesn't look really different. There's a little bit of him responding to some people, but here's what I guess this is what I would get at if I were going to be trying to give you some pointers. I would say, telling the story of your individual images is going to be really important. And I would maybe think about if there are some collections that don't have any sales, I'd maybe remove them. Copy and paste your descriptions before you delete them, and just save them in a text document. That way you can remint them later. But right now, if you've got stuff that was lazy minted on OpenSea and it doesn't have any movement yet, maybe just delete it, and then and trim back what you have available, and then start telling the individual stories of your favorite photos from those collections, and push those. And then maybe think about grabbing one of the best photos, something you're super proud of, and begin to talk about doing that as an addition. And I would hype it. I wouldn't just drop it. I would put it out there, start talking about it, and give yourself a good run rate of 2 weeks before you even drop it. But talk about it ahead of time, and then put it out there as an addition. Promote the crap out of it in MetaJungle and on Twitter, all the places.
Yep, absolutely.
I think this is a classic example of a place where getting some traction and getting some people involved in what you're doing could be really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I think telling the story on the photos, trying to connect to others, and then quote tweeting other people's work with like you telling the story as to why why you find their work to be really compelling could be a powerful way to connect with people within the community too, or have them to be more engaged in your work and what you're doing as well.
Exactly.
So, yeah. And always provide that link too, like to where that photo is at. I noticed you just kind of say GM and you throw up a picture, but yeah, throw in the link so they have it there, and throw in a little story about that, because you have great stories. Like when you wrote about this image here, about what that day was like, going through 4 different seasons, the trek, and how long it was. Like, where is that on Twitter? Like,
Right.
Not everybody's going to come in here and read all this. I mean, we are. I mean, we're doing an AMA, right? So I mean, some people that even buy the photos, they don't even read any of this. They just press buy.
Yeah, we're intentionally hunting for this stuff, and we're having a hard time finding it at times. So I would be even more intentional. Tell those stories.
For sure. Cool. But yeah, great photos from here. I want to go here too now, Patagonia.
Yep.
Fantastic. Yeah. Yeah, I guess that about wraps it up. I think it's the biggest takeaways today are just, you know, like not dropping so many images into a single collection at once. If you can go with dropping 10, like, I'm just, basically what I'm doing with my Lost in Transit collection. Like, I'm dropping 20, you know, waiting for that to sell out. Then I won't even drop the next one until a month or so later, 2 months later, because I have to curate. I have to curate in between um, properties, right? Lots of missing properties for the most important things, which is the artist name, the licensing, the edition is.
Yeah.
Some of those were some of the biggest takeaways from today. You agree, Danny? Have anything else to add as far as takeaways or?
I think it is interesting that we did kind of come across some of the same things. that is a common theme here. That we're seeing a lot of people releasing a lot of work even before the other stuff has sold, and that will be my biggest takeaway. It's what I'm going to probably go tell my friends that I chat with, privately. Just say, hey, really consider being very intentional about what you release and not having too much work out there.
Especially in a time like now where like
Yeah.
it's super slow pace. Like this should be the time where you're sort of like stepping back a little bit, and maybe going out, making more, maybe just like curating something at home, like for next collection that we might produce when the market comes back. We're thinking about just doing an addition or something. We're thinking about how we can clean up sort of if we've made a mess of our own blockchain and saturated our own OpenSea with so much, how we can sort of clean that up right now. There's a lot of ways to
Yeah.
do that,
Good call.
OpenSea, yeah, I mean, OpenSea gives you that ability that a lot of the other sites don't, where you can just delete. So just delete it down. There's no reason why you need 50 images if you could just put 10 there right now. And if you have 3 sold out, you only have 7 left, and then you can start focusing on that. It's a good time to, slow things down on how you can be as strict as you possibly can.
Yep. Exactly.
With your own business, So I think that's a big takeaway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Yeah, a lot of beautiful work, lots of beautiful work today. So hope you guys enjoyed today's AMA. We got a lot out of it. Yeah, love seeing all the beautiful work today. I hope that people could take from these takeaways and make the changes. Then you got to think long term here. Long term, trying to do the same. So, on that note, I guess 3, 2, 1, and we can be out.
And
Thanks again. Thanks so much, Dan.
Bye,
Take care.
everyone.
Appreciate you.